Sam Blakelock here from Pick Up Music. Welcome to Guitar.com Live. This is a three-part series where I am interviewing musicians from a masterclass series. Today, I'm joined by Veinoglou. Let's start off by maybe picking your favorite song squad from your masterclass and playing it for us.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite one that I've done so far is Bubble Tea. It's kind of just the most light, happy feeling kind of bubbly tea song that I have. And it feels very fitting to be playing in 2020 because what a crazy year. So any kind of positivity that we can spread with a song, why not do it? Can I just go for it right now?
Amazing. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Let's see if I can nail my own song squad.
Okay. Amazing. Bubble tea. So I have three questions about that. First is, what is your favorite flavor of bubble tea? Secondly, talk to me about minor four chords. There's a lot of confusion around this. And third, I'll ask you that after. That's
Oh,
enough
yeah.
for now.
Bubble tea, favorite one. It's got to be like a peach mango, extra sugar, medium ice, and a lot of bubbles. Or boba. That's kind of the general. You can hand me that any time of day, anywhere, any weather, and I'll absolutely just devour it. And then, yeah, the four chord here happens all the time. It's been happening since like before the Beatles, and it's like just the most emotional, universally the most emotional chord. I feel like anytime you play the four minor, like people who don't do music, don't listen to music, will still be like, oh, what's that like? Hurt my heart, because it sounds so, the majority of the song is very major and bubbly and happy, right? So we go basically one chord E to our four chord A, and then I go to four minor. It just sounds so like wistful and longing and like misunderstood. But to me, really, it's just like another cadence chord. It's basically, I was going, this is a really positive, happy song. I wanted to feel a little nostalgic, and the four minor always felt kind of that longing, nostalgic sound to me. So I was like, instead of putting a 5 chord there or a suspended chord going back to 1, let's put like a little bit of uncertainty, on an emotional level into that. So that's what like the 4 chord does in my mind. Yeah.
Amazing. That's a really great way to think of it. What about if we're getting nerdy for a second? I'm sure we have a few music theory people. Like, what scale do you play over a minor 4 chord?
Yeah, so in this case, you can really think of it in a couple ways. This is the thing I go over with my students all the time. Because if you stick with, for simplicity's sake, let's say we're in C major, right? So I have C major, F major, F minor to C, right? So you might sit there and go, well, okay, I can't play C major scale over that, because if I play, it completely sounds wrong, right? So what's actually happening here is just something called modal interchange, which is a really fancy term for basically borrowing a chord from a parallel mode. Parallel meaning we're in C major, which is C Ionian, and we're taking a chord from a different C mode. So in this case, we're borrowing a chord from C Aeolian, which is just the C minor scale. So I'm basically saying, wow, I'm in the key of C. I have all my diatonic C major chords, all the chords that exist within C major. And what happens if I look at the chords in C minor right next to that, right? Well, the key of C minor has 3 flats, B, E, and A flat. So it's going to be a little bit different than C major, right? We have those 3 different notes. So you could think of it as when you play over that F minor chord, I could just play a C minor scale for that 1 bar and then resolve back to the major. Or if you wanted to get as simple as possible, you could just play the arpeggio of that. So I might just play, you know, F minor or F minor 7 arpeggio there. Yeah, that's like for the theory nerds, that's kind of the more in-depth explanation.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a really great way to explain it. I wish I could be so clear in my explanations as well. So the third thing, which was an interesting technique, which I've heard you use in a few of your songs, is the slidey thing. So
yeah,
what the hell's going on there?
Yeah, so that's the whole slide technique that I developed, was more my response of just being really bad at actual slide guitar. Like,
you were good at real slide guitar. I've heard you though. I guess originally,
I can fake it fine, but I can't actually be really as expressive as I want with it. So, you know, one of my favorite guitar players is Derek Trucks, who is pretty much exclusively like a slide player, one of the craziest slide players ever. And, you know, when you watch him play, what I really took is his right hand technique first and foremost, because when he's attacking, he's really digging into the strings. He's not like attacking the strings with his thumb or with his pointer finger. He kind of takes his pointer and his ring and like creates this like really powerful like spank almost. You know what I mean? He's like really getting in there, which gives a really, really aggressive attack, which to me is part of the staple sound of slide, is like the really, you know, non-traditional attack of the string. It's not like you're using a pick or anything. And also by doing this right hand technique, I can kind of mute the other strings that I'm not playing, which is just as important doing with a slide. Because if I have a slide on my finger and I hit one string, all the other strings are going to ring out really loud, you know? So the kind of a good way to combat that is with the right hand. So kind of taking Derek Truck's right hand technique and then basically doing what I would do with a slide on, just with one finger or one hand. So if I was going to go up, for example, right, that's basically the beginning of my song squad right there. Just a major pentatonic in essence, but instead of attacking and picking every single note, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack, hammer on, and slide my fingers, obviously with the flesh without a slide. And you'll see that the difference with using a finger is you lose a little bit of volume. So when I'm sliding, I'm actually doing it quite powerfully. I'm pushing down a little bit hard and really, I'm not moving slow. Like if I go, all those frets in between are really going to kill my volume. So, you know, you can actually keep it going. This is like a dead clean tone and it's still kind of going.
You don't have compression or anything on, right?
No, it's literally just into the amp. So, you know, especially if I have some, let's see what overdrive sounds I have queued up here. If I have like a really nasty, like crazy overdrive sound, you sometimes can't tell it's not a slide just because it emulates it so well. If I go,
let me listen.
You know what I mean? Obviously, you can tell like it's not a slide, but it can fool like the untrained ear.
Yeah, and it looks cool. It's like a different way of playing. It's almost like you got a cigar or something. And
yeah,
I think it's quite a really interesting technique which you use in a melodic way, not an overused type of way, which, you know, it's not like a gimmick. It's actually very musical.
Yeah, it's just super fun, and you can do it in standard tuning just as easily. So, yeah.
Sweet. So I wanted to talk about your masterclass with Pickup Music. It was one of our earliest ones. It was kind of early on. I didn't know what I was doing when I filmed it with you, but you've since released a bunch of Song Squad, which are really, really popular, I think, because of the strength of your composition, and also just a variety of styles. So one of the things you talked about, which a lot of our members enjoyed, was what to do when you feel like you hit a plateau in your playing, meaning that you don't feel like you're progressing. And I think it happens to all of us. So I think you shared some good advice in the class, but I was wondering if you had any newer thoughts on that to update it, or if it's kind of those same
Yeah,
fundamentals.
no, 100%. I mean, definitely a lot of the same principles as I kind of touched on in the masterclass, but I think more, especially now, I feel like this year with everyone kind of being stuck inside, it's anything we're feeling can get amplified really quickly. Um, and I've been battling the whole plateau feeling myself this entire year, and I find the most beneficial thing to do is lately what I've been doing is going back to like my roots. So, you know, I grew up doing a lot of classical music and like a lot of Jimi Hendrix and a lot of Slash, like going back to things that where I started or when you started playing guitar and you were like, this is the best, most incredible, fun thing I could ever do in life is play the guitar, and bringing back those records that brought me that initial joy and like created the passion and the drive for me to actually want to progress. And just take a moment to like actually enjoy the guitar, you know. I think the the thing that can happen, you know, aside from just, you know, practicing and being like, I don't know what to practice anymore, that kind of plateau, there's also kind of like the I'm not good enough kind of thoughts that trickle into your head that come up while we're practicing, which will actually make us plateau even more, because it's like, you know, you're not good enough, you're not that good at this, you should stop practicing because you suck anyways. Like, we all have those poisonous thoughts. And something that I've been doing more lately too, which has been helpful, is like literally writing those voices down. Like anytime I have a thought like, you suck, don't do that, like you shouldn't be practicing this, like I'll physically write it down, and then like I'll look at it the next day and I'll just be like, that is the most ridiculous thing ever. Like being able to like look at it objectively and be like, wow, this is me talking to myself. Like so much kind of weird negative language around it, and kind of being able to like laugh at that and just let go of it is really good. And then last thing I always do, if I'm like really just like, if it has nothing to do with my like emotional state with the guitar and I don't think I suck, I'm just like actually plateauing really hard, I'll try a completely different style of music. Like I'll just transcribe like a Bach piano piece or something, or like Chopin all day, just melodies. Or I'll try to do some crazy tapping, shredding thing that I can't, you know, do, that I haven't been able to do before. And then another thing that I do too, which is super important, and I do this every week, is take like a fun day off from music. So for me, it's usually Sundays or Tuesdays where I do no music, no guitar. Like apps, I won't touch the guitar if I can help it. I won't listen to music. I'll just like spend the whole day outside, or spend the day like cooking a dessert or something, you know, just any kind of other creative stimulating activity to do. Because, you know, if you think of practicing like eating, you can't be eating every second of every day. You need to digest and chill out a little bit, you know. So I feel like having a digestion day kind of keeps burning out and plateauing more at bay. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, really valuable advice. Before we get to more chatting, do you want to play a bit more? Perhaps something you've been working on recently, or if you wanted to revisit another song squad or etude, up to you, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just play like I've had this idea that's in G, so I'll just play that. I have no idea what it is yet. Maybe I'll work it. I'll make it like an intro into an old song squad or something. We'll just see. But it's in G, so enjoy. E like always, but there's my Sam improv for you.
Amazing. I felt very special hearing that. Thank you. So I wanted to touch on another big topic which you covered in your masterclass and is a common one, which we talked to Molly about as well, which is the box. Like, what is the box and why do so many guitarists feel like they're stuck in it? And maybe it's fine to stay in it. Boxes are fine, right? Playing within a format, a structure. If we weren't inside a framework of a scale or the major scale, we'd just be playing atonal, free music, which some people want to hear, but most people might not. So anyway, yeah, what is the box and how do I get out of it? And should I?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really funny because the box is so unique to guitar. You know, like not many other instruments refer to it as the pentatonic box. And the box is the pentatonic scale that we're all familiar with. Everyone knows the kind of A minor pentatonic box is like the most stigmatized box on guitar. Now, yes, you're right. There's literally nothing wrong with the pentatonic box because 85% of guitar solos happen within the pentatonic box. Why? Because it sounds amazing. You know what I mean? It's like all the classic solos, all the most iconic guitar solos, all using the pentatonic box. So, you know, in essence, no, there's like no real reason to need to get out of it. But a lot more popular music is starting to utilize like more complex chords that you can't necessarily just stay in that one box all the time. So yes, there definitely are reasons to want to get out of the box if you're kind of expanding on your styles of music that you're playing. And there's you know, a million and one different techniques of kind of breaking out of it. You know, the most common being, like if you have a lick, whatever, learn it in a bunch of different places all over the neck, and that will kind of get you out of that box. But to me, that's kind of just like, here's a teaspoon of cough medicine to kill your cough for an hour. You know what I mean? It's not really getting you completely removed. So the way that I kind of approach things is really through following the chords, right? A lot of times you hear the term like playing the changes, or, oh, what are the changes in this song? Like there's so many different chords. You know, how do I kind of follow these changing chords with a pentatonic scale? Because you can't always do that. So what I'll do is if there's a song with a bunch of different chords in it, is I'll do what I call chord tone soloing. It's been used in all different styles of music. And essentially all it is you take a song with chord changes in it, right, that have a bunch of different chords. And if I just take all those basic chordal information, right, and I just play only the arpeggios, right, of every single chord, then you can kind of actually hear each chord, right? Now that sounded like a classical etude or something. It sounded like very literal. But if I mix in, you know, for example, some arpeggios and some chord tone soloing ideas around the pentatonic box, it gives you an entirely different sound while still complementing and allowing you to play within the box. So maybe I'm soloing in, you know, A minor pentatonic. And then I'll slide in and I'll add in a little arpeggio. Right back to pentatonic scale. But that sounded different and refreshing enough that it gives the ear a break from, you know, so sometimes just sprinkling in a little bits of other information give you that larger scale effect. And chord tone soloing is a great place to start.
I think there's such a good point. It doesn't really matter which way you get out of the box, whether it's an arpeggio, a chord tone, or a different position. When you do that and then you arrive back inside it, the ear is familiar with that sound. It's like, oh, we've arrived back to that sound again, but
exactly.
Escaping it for a little bit. And this is not just in jazz, right? This is all types of music. I mean, when you were explaining that, I was thinking of singers like Melody, whether it's R&B and pop, they're not singing minor pentatonic melodies, and these are the most popular melodies in 2020 and, you know, for the past whatever 100 years. So as a guitarist, if we restrict ourselves to that, then, you know, it sounds pretty awesome, but 100%. You know, so what would be another way to kind of explore out of the box? Let's say if someone is new to this concept?
Yeah, 100%. You know, so there's obviously like the 5 different positions you can learn in the pentatonic scale, which are great. They're going to put you in the same kind of, you know, boxy feeling things. Basically, like here's your first box, second box, third box, fourth box, fifth box, etc. Yeah. And a lot of the kind of thing, to me, the box doesn't necessarily have to be like, everyone always thinks of it as just this one area, like, or any pentatonic shape, really, right, is the box. But to me, what makes it the box is the way that we look at the actual shape of what's going on, right? So when I look at the shape, I think of, like, I could draw that as like a literal shape on a piece of paper, right? So to me, sometimes breaking out of the pentatonic box is just working with what we already have, but looking at it through a different lens, right? And the best way that I always think about doing this is like taking something even simpler, like I'll take the major scale, right? Say we have C major scale or C major pentatonic or A minor pentatonic, all the same thing, right? If I say, great, you know, you could call the major scale another kind of box. It's keeping you in this kind of set little grid of notes. So what I'll do is I'll say, well, what happens if I mix up the order of the notes, for example? Like, I'm just going to take what I have and jumble it up. So maybe I say I'll play 3 notes on every string, and I'll skip every other string. So instead of just going, right, or going up the pentatonic, I'll say, okay, I'm going to do this new rule, 3 notes per string, skipping every other string. So I might go, right? That to me already sounds like totally different, totally new. And the nice thing about having the same amount of notes on every string is I can permutate that. I can ascend, I can start at the top, descend, start bottom, top, middle, vice versa, right? And I can mix that up. Right? And I can do that with anything, a major scale, a pentatonic scale, and it just brings a lot of extra life to the sound, right? So if I'm doing pentatonics again,
that sounded amazing.
I didn't do anything different. I just took the same notes. I just like rearranged them differently. You could even do that in this box. I could just do 2 notes. I could go. You know, it just gives you like little new kind of ways to look at the same thing you already have. Because there's no point in going, oh, great, the pentatonic scale sounds boring. Like I should get rid of it. I'm lame for playing it. Like, just like look deeper into what you already have. You know, you put all the time into that information. So why not make it as detailed and kind of bring it out as much as you can.
Amazing. Yeah, I think those are some really great points. I think I wanted to ask you a more general question just to finish, because we got 5 minutes left. So I'd like to finish with some playing. But before that, 2020 has been an interesting year. Many ups and downs, from firestorms to smoke. I think the smoke just passed. We're in LA right now, and finally the skies have cleared. I was wondering if there has been any silver linings in terms of music for you. Like you talked about having the opportunity to kind of revisit music which you grew up. So maybe that is something, or has there been something else which honestly, for yourself or for your friends?
Yeah, I think for everyone, honestly, like having some time to pause. Like initially it's like, wow, we're in quarantine for a week, a month, 6 months, and now we're like almost at the end of the year. But I think the biggest thing for me was kind of not being out and touring and gigging and like always being, influenced by all these different kinds of music and having to learn all this different kind of music all the time. Really gave me a chance to like quiet my mind and my brain and be like, wow, what kind of art do I really want to make, and what kind of artistic statement do I want to make, and what art is worth my energy. And it's just been really grounding and fun to like re-explore, kind of, not to be cheesy, but like exactly what I was just saying about the pentatonic scale. It's like really digging into what you already have, and really kind of making most light of that, which has been awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I guess just to finish, is there anything which are coming up for you? I know you released a little lo-fi album. You've been recording some acoustic stuff, and I know you're back home for a bit. So, yeah, is there any like music that that's coming out soon for you? Or
Yeah, I'm going to continue to do a bunch of lo-fi stuff, and the name for that is Low Light, L-O-L-I-G-H-T. And I'm starting like in the last like month and a half to do a bunch of like solo guitar pieces, but actually properly composed pieces, because I had released a bunch of random acoustic guitar stuff under Donut Boy music, and all of that was pretty much improvised for the most part. But I'm really working on composing like music for guitar specifically, which is really fun. So who knows when that's going to come out? Probably by the end of the year, because we're just sitting around in quarantine. So
yeah. Awesome, man. It'll be awesome to hear that. So, yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. To finish with a little bit of playing, maybe just a wee hoon, couple of minutes, and yeah, thanks for joining us. This has been Guitar.com Live. Remember to check out Guitar.com for all things guitar. Over to you, Mr. Veinoglou. That rhymed.
killed it.